The moment pierced me with a clarity I hadn't expected, a sharp, cold clarity that settled deep in my chest. Emily and I had always thought of ourselves as the kind of couple who could weather anything. We'd whispered that belief to each other through moves, through job changes, through quiet disappointments and loud joys, or at least, I had believed it. In hindsight, maybe I had clung to it like a shield, because for months, something in the foundation between us had begun to strain gently at first, like a hairline crack no one notices until the pressure starts to mount. We both saw it, felt it, but chose to turn away from it. It's easier that way, isn't it? To pretend things are fine until they're not, until the silence becomes louder than any spoken word. That evening had all the markings of a normal night. I came home from the office exhausted, hoping for some small balm of comfort. The smell of dinner lingered faintly in the air. The soft hum of the television buzzed from the living room. Emily sat curled in her usual chair, her face lit by the pale glow of her phone. Familiar, domestic, safe, but something was different. Her detachment was heavier, colder, a stillness that didn't feel restful, a distance that had grown sharper in recent weeks. I sat beside her, searching for a thread to hold between us, something to pull us closer. "How was your day?" I asked, gently. Her eyes barely flicked up from her screen. "Nothing new," she muttered, her voice flat, her focus anchored elsewhere. No warmth, no curiosity. Just a dismissive answer that landed like a cold splash. I swallowed my frustration, but it pushed against my ribs like something trying to claw its way out. And so I did what I often do. When I feel the ground shifting beneath me, I tried to bring it into the light. "Emily," I asked quietly, "what's happening to us? You've been so far away lately." That's when she looked up, and in her eyes, for just a breath of a second, I saw something unexpected. Not just annoyance, it was sharper than that. Anger, a raw, unfiltered edge I hadn't seen in her before. "Oh, so now you notice?" she snapped, the bitterness in her voice cutting through the air between us. I blinked, stunned, but I didn't retreat. Of course, I notice. This distance is pulling us apart, and I don't want that. If something's wrong, just talk to me. She rose suddenly, the chair dragging loudly across the floor as she walked toward the kitchen counter. Her posture was rigid, her movements sharp. "You think you get to demand that from me? What? Just because I'm your wife, I owe you every piece of who I am?" Her voice trembled with restraint, but the words spilled out with force. My chest tightened. "Emily," I began, but she cut me off. "I'm not your possession." Her voice was steady, but each word landed like a stone. "You act like I'm here to serve your needs, to play a role, to fit into this image you have of what a wife should be. But I'm not here to fill that space anymore." I stood frozen, the air sucked out of the room. I'd always thought of you as equals, as partners, but she was telling me she felt cornered, unseen. That somewhere along the way, I'd stopped meeting her as a person and started expecting her to exist around me. And though it wasn't what I wanted to believe, I couldn't deny the certainty in her voice, the fire in her eyes. I could have argued, could have told her how hard I'd been working for us, how invisible I'd been feeling too. But something broke inside me, a quiet, devastating crack. Instead of fighting, I did something she didn't expect. I stepped back. "If that's how you feel," I said, my voice level though every part of me felt undone, "I won't fight." She froze. The surprise in her expression was brief but unmistakable. She hadn't expected retreat. The silence that followed felt unbearable, thick with unspoken truths and words that had waited far too long. I left her to it. For days, I kept my distance. I didn't call her out, didn't try to pull her close or fix what had shattered. I let her sit with her words, let the silence stretch, and in that stillness, I hoped she might hear the echo of her own voice and understand its weight. The days passed slowly, heavy. Then, one evening, I returned home after running errands to find her at the kitchen table waiting. She looked small. Somehow, like the armor she always wore so well had cracked. Her eyes were swollen, but dry. Her hands clasped tightly in front of her. "Can we talk?" she asked, and her voice so often measured was soft, hesitant. I nodded and sat down across from her. This silence was different. Not the cold silence of anger, but the aching silence of someone who finally had something to say. I didn't Mean it, she began, her eyes fixed on the table. When I said I wasn't your possession, I was angry. I felt like I didn't matter anymore. Like you didn't see me, just what I do, how I fit into your life. I felt something press against my chest, sharp and deep. Emily, I said slowly, I never wanted you to feel that way. I didn't see it. I didn't understand. But I hear you now, and I'm sorry. She looked up then, and in her eyes I saw something I hadn't seen in so long. Hope, fragile, trembling, but real. I don't want to lose us, she whispered. But I need you to really see me, not just as your wife, as me. I nodded, the lump in my throat tightening. We've both been blind, haven't we? I said. And it wasn't just an apology. It was a truth. I'd failed to recognize how tired she'd become, how unseen she felt, and she'd been holding that pain in her chest like a stone, waiting for someone to notice the weight. That night, something shifted between us, not fixed, not perfect, but deeper. We began again, not from where we left off, but from someplace more honest. I learned that sometimes restraint is the greatest act of love, that silence, when used with care, can make someone feel their own voice again. I didn't chase her. I didn't shout her down. I let the space speak, and in that void, she chose to return, not because I pulled her back, but because she realized she wanted to stay. The work continues. The healing isn't linear, but we're different now. We see each other, really see, and for the first time in a long while. That's enough to keep moving forward together.